Rebirth is it's a newly released film here in Netflix in the UK, but from what I gather on IMDb, it was released in about 2016 elsewhere. It centres around a office worker in a relatively standard financial industries job, getting invited to a rebirth therapy weekend by his friend who runs it. Now, he's a little bit sceptical, as you might expect, but goes along in the end because he, has to for the plot to develop. Then, as he goes along with them, it's all very, nicely laid out and corporate, but they end up getting led blindfolded to a sort of abandoned building where everything gets a little bit darker and a little more sinister and a little more cult-like. You're meant to see it from his point of view, so where everyone else is like really into it and getting on with the therapy, he's the only one that's sort of questioning things and thinking, well, this is a bit strange, this is a bit weird. You follow him, go through the various sort of therapy rooms that are there, and experience more and more sort of weird, messed up things. This can include like strange sexual encounters and psychologically aggressive bullying situations, to the point where in a short space of time he tries to get out, he can't, and he has effectively a mild nervous breakdown. And as you might expect with this kind of plot, it all turns out to be part of the therapy and that he's got sort of gone through the pain barrier and now he's fine. That was all pretty predictable and all well and good and all very well acted, and that's out the way within the first 45 minutes of this sort of hour and a half long film. Then when he gets home, it takes a sort of weird twist. His friend comes and gets him and says, well, sorry, it's not over yet, and the nightmare's sort of still going on. They've got into all of his bank accounts, into his life, and taken all of his money, etc. And they say, oh, it's fine, we'll let you out of it, but we need you to do us a favour, and we need you to install something on your bank's computers so we can take some money from them. And you think, oh right, this is going to be now a robbery film, a heist film. And then they go into his garage to do this on the internet, and then it takes another turn where they go, oh, we just need you to do a testimonial, and he sort of does a little bit to camera, and then I don't really know what the film turns into for the last however long, because it cuts but just before he does his bank transaction, and you're given a sort of infomercial video on Rebirth, the weekend that he goes away to, and him and all his family and friends are in on it, all smiling, happy as if they're indoctrinated, and nothing more is said about the fact that he had to rob the bank. All seems to have gone well with that. He seems to now be happy with the situation, so much so that he's into it, and there's no indication, not even a sort of awkward look to camera or anything to imply that these people are being forced against their will, that everyone else is being forced against their will, that they're all complicit with it, that they're all part of this cult now. Nothing gets you from the situation in the garage to the situation you'll cut to at the end, and then treated this sort of 10 minutes of what eventually starts feeling a little like filler. And that's where the whole film falls apart, because you don't get a satisfactory ending, and it's not the kind of ending where, oh, you've got to guess what happened. Is that what it is? It's just naff, and it feels like they weren't sure how to finish it, or that maybe something was edited out in between, and it just ruins the whole experience. Otherwise, at the start you think, oh, it's going to be like a sort of cheap remake of something like The Game, which was with Michael Douglas, which is a really good, enjoyable film that I like. And then it takes this twist, and you think, okay, it's fine, it's taking this twist, but then it doesn't know what to do with the twist that it makes up, and I do wonder if the twist is just put in to try and separate it from being a cheap remake of The Game. So yeah, a film that starts off well enough, is interesting, and then gets let down at the end. If you've got a different view on it, or you know something, then by all means comment and let me know. But I just think it's what could have been a good film ruined by either poor writing or poor editing. at the very end that leaves the viewer clueless as to what the film's intentions were and where you're meant to be left at the end with the characters.